Welcome to a emergency episode of the Casual Football Friends Show, everyone. With me, Zane, and my co-host.
I'm Taryn. I want to know why you introduced it like that.
What do you mean?
You sounded like it was a dating show. Like, hey guys, welcome to this impromptu Casual Football Fans podcast. Oh yes, we've got an emergency episode. It's going to be riveting.
It's like, this just in. Will Zane and Taryn find love in the form of a new Leicester manager that will actually suit them for the rest of their careers in the podcast
I like
game?
that. You made it relevant to the actual podcast. You didn't just ramble on. Yeah,
Exactly.
That's good.
Exactly.
Very professional.
Because we are here, we're meeting up because, the manager of Leicester, the team that we both support, that this podcast is essentially, cards on the table, let's be honest. The Casual Football Friends is probably a Leicester City podcast that then also discusses other things, but primarily
That's it.
Yeah. Primarily, we're a Leicester podcast, and yeah, this is pretty huge news that the second manager of the season to get sacked after Man United's Erik ten Hag is our very own Steve Cooper. 10 games in, no, 10 points.
No, it's not been 10 games.
It's been more than 10
points.
Games.
He's accumulated 10 points
10
so far.
10 points from
this
13,
season.
13 games, I believe.
Yes, from 13 games.
With the last... With the last result being a loss to Chelsea on the weekend, Saturday lunchtime. At home. And I guess that was the final straw. So obviously we have a few thoughts either way. Taryn, take us home. The Steve has flown the coop.
The Steve has flown the coop now. It's officially over. The Steve Cooper dream has ended. Look, let's be honest. We didn't, from the start of this season, when Steve Cooper was appointed Leicester City manager, we didn't expect much. But we did expect something better than this. And frankly, it's been coming now. And look, Leicester City, we're not a top six club. We're not one of the big six. We're not a top four club. We're not one of those. But we expect better than what we've been having. And we've said it week in, week out. We've seen no fight from these players. There's been the odd game, like the Southampton game, when they were 2-0 down and they came back 1-3-2. There was some fight in there. That was good. But then the recent results have just been like the Forest game. The writing was on the wall there. That was it. He lost at home to Forest. You know what? And the way the team has been playing has been so poor that some of the results. It's been embarrassing. Like the Man United game. As soon as Man United went 3-0 up, I just switched off. And I'm a Leicester City fan, but I couldn't watch this anymore. It was painful to watch. And I personally thought we'd see Leicester City get rid of him after Christmas. I thought that would be the case, but no, they've got rid of him now. Who steps in? I don't know. Hopefully it's someone better. But no, it was coming that he would. He's not a Premier League manager. I'm sorry, but Steve Cooper, he's not cut out for the Premier League. When he managed Forest, he only managed Forest so they could survive. He didn't achieve anything with them. He managed them so they could survive. This season they're doing really well, but it's not under Steve Cooper. And now he took over the Leicester job, and we thought, okay, one thing Steve Cooper can do, he managed to get Forest to survive. Hopefully he'll get us to survive. It didn't look like that was going to happen if we kept him in charge. So, I never like to see a person get fired, but, bye,
He got pooped out. The coop got pooped out.
It's time to go.
My opinion is like, I think a little bit softer. Like I throughout this season have been thinking it'll get better, and I every time we had a result, like for example the Southampton game, I was thinking, here it is. Here's the result to get the season going. And even though we're not in the bottom three just yet, we are one place above the bottom three. There is that element of like, the other teams are really, really bad. So if this was like any other Premier League season where, there was still like a relatively good level of competition at the bottom, then I think we'd be pretty down there at this point. But I am a little bit shocked. Like I was quite surprised when I saw the news earlier, because generally speaking, you don't see relegation teams do this, or
Not yeah, not
fight
this
for
early
survival.
on.
Not
They
this early
don't.
on. As we said, normally
Not
you'd
this early
expect
on.
it to be after Christmas. They do a little bit of a review and see how well things are going. I wonder if there is some kind of holdover from the season Brendan Rodgers got us relegated, where we are now not overcorrecting because this could turn out to be the right decision. But you know how in the Rodgers season we kept on to him for too long, and that ultimately lost us our place in the Premier League, right? Because
Yeah,
we kept on to him to the point where Dean Smith had to pick up with like 5 games to go and had no chance essentially. In this
yeah,
scenario, I think we've basically done the exact opposite. Where some would argue it's a little bit too soon, but there's a couple of factors here which I think the board kind of I see their point of view. Number one is Graham Potter. Uh, I think our number one target when we tried the manager search back in the summer,
yeah,
he is now aware that he's not going to get the England job, and I think that was kind of like the main block back then. So I
yeah.
reckon they were like, look, he's still available, and he was who we wanted originally. So let's kind of course correct and get him in because he's somebody who's a much more established Premier League manager, but also somebody who can get the team playing really good stuff. At the end of the day, we're a team who, yeah, it's a team that just came up and a team who you wouldn't expect the world of, but there are enough good players in that team that you would expect a little bit more, especially
That's it.
in the style of play and in terms of like off the gate, off the mark fight. And
Mm,
I think what's kind of been the damning verdict for Cooper in these last few games is there's been no real fight, as you said. And
yeah,
you could see that as soon as we went down, we didn't really look like getting back into any of the other games that we've been playing. And I think I read a stat yesterday saying like we are the team who have gone down in games the most out of any who have conceded
yeah.
first in out of all the other teams, and it's like you can't keep that up
No,
if you want to be a stable Premier League team. You just can't keep that up, and he's not been able to learn from his mistakes so far. So it makes you question whether he'll be able to learn from them going forward. So overall,
yeah.
not too shocked, but a little bit shocked that it's come this early.
Yeah, I mean, I expected it a little bit later on.
Yeah,
Like I just said, after Christmas, because that's when most teams kind of have their reviews of what's going on. We kind of see how the league's going to pan out, and then that's when we see a lot of sacking. But Ten Hag went not too long ago, and again, we probably some people saying maybe after Christmas, but then Man United pulled the trigger on that one and got rid of him. Looks like Leicester City have now pulled the trigger here. Maybe Leicester are in talks with Potter at the moment. We don't know. Maybe they're in talks with Potter. Maybe they're in talks with some other manager to come into the club. We don't know. But in this interim period is going to be pretty vital. It's going to be crucial, this interim period, just because whoever's going to come in and just basically, steady the ship until the next manager comes in has got to keep us quite up, away from that relegation zone for the next few games
yeah.
until a new manager comes in. And I don't. What is our next run of games? Because I've not actually looked recently, but I don't know if it's going to be something that we could just coast off.
We have West Ham at home and Wolves away, I believe. I don't know if that's the next
Yeah,
2 games, but sorry. So we have Brentford away next Saturday.
yeah,
That's a very difficult one. Then we have
yeah,
Brighton. Then West Ham at home, Brighton at home, Newcastle away,
yeah,
Wolves at home,
yeah.
and then Christmas. So that's Liverpool on Boxing Day and Man City on New Year's Eve. So yeah, not the kindest
So
run of fixtures, but not
yeah,
like the worst, if you know what I mean.
not the worst, but then there are some teams there that will that we will struggle against. So Brighton are playing brilliantly at the moment. And so
Yeah.
far they've been playing great. Brentford on their day are brilliant. On their day, they
Brentford
can
have
be really
been
good.
the highest scorer, one of the highest scoring teams in the
Yeah,
league so far. They've been very
that's the
good.
thing. They're the
So
highest
yeah,
scoring. They score high, but they concede high as well. That's
yeah,
the thing with Brentford. But it's always an exciting game with them. So Wolves. Okay, there might be some hope with Wolves because they're one of the teams who are struggling. But then we seem to be under Steve Cooper, we seem to be also struggle to get results against teams that we should be getting results against. We couldn't get a result against Ipswich. We drew against Ipswich. We couldn't get a win against Everton. We gave Everton their first point. Yes, we managed to beat Southampton, but it was some heroic victory to do it. Yeah. And so there was a lot of alarm bells ringing under Steve Cooper. And now whoever takes over as interim manager, they've not got an easy task ahead of them.
No, I think they have to get in the new guy ASAP, and I think you'd have to assume that they have been talking to whoever their prime preferred candidate is, maybe in the last few days, or maybe this since yesterday, because it would be kind of ridiculous to not have somebody waiting in the wings. And knowing football, knowing business, they wouldn't make a decision like this without having a backup, the next plan in place already. So I have to imagine we won't be waiting that long for the next manager. So I have the odds in front of me for the next people, for the next potential manager, by the way, if you want to go through them.
We'll go through them, because I've got enough faith in Top that he's probably already decided who the next manager is going to be. He's just now deciding when they'll start. Well, when's the starting date? But it's I really hope it's not the worst. The worst case scenario is that they fired Steve Cooper and we've got nobody. I'd rather Steve Cooper than nobody.
Yeah.
But I really feel that they probably got somebody in place. Whoever it will be, maybe it's a Graham Potter. We don't. Maybe it's a Mourinho. We don't know who it is. But so we don't know who the next manager is going to be. Yeah. But I'm sure you've got your odds on. And also, when we've done this before, with the odds on, and we've always kind of sussed out who the manager's going to be. So we've, when we did it with England, we did it with Man United. Hopefully we do it with Leicester. Hopefully you've got to pick someone good.
You give us credit for that, but the odds are literally given to us, and then we're just going, well, that's the odds favourite. So we're just regurgitating.
We've not predicted anything. We've just gone with the odds and then said, that'll happen.
Yeah, that'll happen. And I bet it's going to be him, and then it turns out to be him. We can't take any credit for that.
And we're like, whoa, it was the guy that had the highest odds? No way!
No way. So the next Leicester City manager odds on Bet365, we have Graham Potter as the odds-on favourite with 6-4.
That's not bad odds.
That's not, so as far as I'm aware.
Amazing. Yeah, it's not bad odds.
That's if you were going to make a bet, that would be really bad odds to bet on.
That would be a stupid bet to bet on.
Okay, right. Okay.
Yeah. If you were watching the horse racing and there was a horse that was 6-4 odds, and you thought, I'll put a tenner on this one, you'd be like, yeah, you'll win, but you'll win fuck all.
Okay, that's how it works. Okay, well, Graham Potter is 6-4. I mean, as we were probably talking about back in the summer, I can't even remember actually. Did we start this podcast before Cooper got hired? I think we.
I can't remember now.
I actually can't remember.
Long time.
Yeah.
It feels like such a long time ago when the season started.
It was a long time ago. But I think Potter is the most logical choice and also the best choice. And I think he's somebody who, if given a little bit of time, but also the time to implement his ideas into the team and get them playing the way he wants to play football, I reckon he'll be a very good building block kind of manager to take us to that next level a bit sooner than what we probably anticipated. I mean, he's a guy who took Brighton from averaging sort of 17th, 16th, 15th place to a 10th place to an 8th place. Yeah. So he's good at it.
He can build a squad up, which is good. He can build a team up. Whether he can take that team further than that, we don't need to worry about that right now. We just need a team. We just need our team to get into that, survival mode. That's what we really need, and he's good at doing that.
Exactly. And I think the idea was that he probably thought he was going to be the England manager or had a shot at it, so he didn't want to take the job back in the summer because, one, we had our financial fair play case wasn't reviewed or it wasn't sorted at that point. I say financial fair play, the PSR rules. That whole thing was hanging over it all. So at the end of the day, he was probably thinking, I'm just going to hedge my bets here and not take a bit of a risky job. But now that's resolved, and also he knows he's not going to get the England job. So it's definitely looking a lot more favourable in terms of getting him
Mm,
and getting somebody of that kind of quality. But yeah, no, I'd be very happy if it does turn out to be Graham Potter. And I
yeah.
really hope this doesn't end up becoming a clip that gets shown in my face over and over again when Potter gets us relegated. And
Yeah, you say, I think Potter's the right man for the job, but then we
yeah,
get relegated. It's like, yeah,
it
well, that's
is.
this podcast dead.
Yeah, it's like Graham Potter, you get the casual football friend seal of approval, and it's like Potter's face pops up, and it's like a badge on his face, and then yeah, that ends up biting us in the ass by the end of the season.
It could happen.
It could happen. Anything can happen. We're Leicester City. Like literally, we got relegated with Brendan Rodgers, who before he came to us was seen as this like up and coming, going to be the next Man City
I know.
manager. Who, yeah,
And,
you never know what's
the,
going to
the
happen.
time we were bitching about there was why Rodgers should leave, was because we were just about missing out on Champions League spots. I mean, how bloody entitled were we? We, we were just like, oh, he's not good enough for Leicester City. We should be a Champions League team. And then we got relegated. It's like, no, we're like, I just want to survive.
I just want to survive. Exactly. The second person on the list is a bit of a legend in terms of the Premier League. A little bit of
Yeah.
somebody who's been there, done that, who's had some really decent seasons over the last few years. David Moyes is 2 for 1 and second favorite.
Really? David Moyes is 2 for 1. Oh, 2 to 1. Oh,
So
that's an in,
is that better
that's
odds?
quite good odds.
Is that's not
It's not
as good as 6 to 4 though, right?
it's not as good as 6 to 4, but it's still very, very, very good odds.
Right. Okay.
You'll again. It's another ones where if you put a bet on it, you'd win fuck all from it. But David Moyes, you know what? I think David Moyes got kind of tarnished a bit when he took over Man United.
Yeah.
And the job he did there. But people forget when he was at Everton, he did a very good job at Everton.
Yeah.
You know, he has been a good manager in his day. I wouldn't be upset with David Moyes taking over the Leicester job. I wouldn't be upset by that.
David Moyes. The thing is, West Ham fans were perpetually moaning over the last few seasons because Moyes' brand of football wasn't something that they were very happy with, and it was it was seen as being a little bit archaic. And I have a feeling if we got David Moyes, our fans would be exactly the same. So
Oh yeah, football fans are toxic.
yeah,
You know,
no,
it's like even if he's getting us results, if the football we're playing is crap, we're like we're winning each game. But we look terrible as we do it. You
Yeah.
know, football fans are just toxic like that. But the way I look at it, as long as we're getting results, that's what matters. And with Leicester City at the moment, the football can be shite, but as long as you get results, it doesn't matter at the moment. We just need to get results. So if David Moyes, he is a bit of a chaotic guy. At West Ham, he's got results at West Ham. He hasn't done a bad job at West Ham. He's
Well,
done okay. He hasn't done amazing, but he hasn't done bad either.
I would argue he did amazing. Like honestly, I'd argue. I'd argue for a club like West Ham, he won them a European trophy and got them into like.
Well, yeah, to be fair,
he
I
got
correct
them.
myself. He hasn't done badly, to be fair.
He got them into the top 6 at one point. Like he's been a very good manager for West Ham.
Yeah.
He worked wonders for them. The issue is obviously his style of play, and yeah, I just feel like it'd be the exact same situation with our fan base. Third on the list is the man himself, who literally just beat us at 9-2. Is Ruud van Nistelrooy. Ruud. Yeah.
God, I don't think that'll happen.
I don't think that would
I
happen
doubt it.
either.
I highly doubt that.
Yeah. It seemed like a bit of.
Why would he?
Yeah.
You know.
Also, it seemed like a bit of a punt, like from us.
Yeah, and if it was a case that like how last season we were in the Championship and you want to get promoted, but you can take a bit more of a risk in that sense because we have the squad to do it. So you can take a risk like we did with an Enzo, who didn't really have much managerial experience, but we thought, let's take a little bit of a punt at this one. You can do that. But when you're fighting relegation, you don't really want to take a punt on a manager. As much as a legend Ruud was, and he did a really good job as interim manager for Man United, getting 2 wins over Leicester, but to be fair, we had Steve Cooper in charge. So, as much as he did well there, I wouldn't be overly comfortable with him becoming Leicester manager, looking at the condition that we're in right now.
Yeah, and also, you've got a few names here who I guess like they have a philosophy, they have a style of play that they want to try and implement, and I feel like with the situation we have at the moment, with the type of players that we have at the moment, I just feel like Rude's style of play might be a little bit overly ambitious for the players that we have, and I don't want it to be like
Exactly.
a company at Burnley situation where he's trying to like make diamonds out of crap.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Which
So
is
that's why
yeah.
I'm a little bit. I would, as much as cool as it would be to have Ruud van Nistelrooy as manager, let's see. I don't think it would be a right fit at the current time. At the moment, I don't think it would be good for both him and the club. I don't think it'd be good.
Four favourites is 14-1, and it's Mark Robbins, who was the Coventry manager over the last few years, got them to the FA Cup semi final, didn't get them promoted, but he got them promoted from League One. Um, yeah, I
No,
can already see you shaking your head.
no, no, no. Move on. No.
I mean, he got fired from Coventry earlier, and he's about to get replaced
Yeah,
with Frank Lampard, so I doubt it's going to be
yeah.
him.
So big fat no, not
Yeah,
happening.
not
Not
happening.
in my lifetime. No.
Next on the list is Carlos Corberan, again another name who was linked quite heavily back in the summer with us, a Sheffield Wednesday manager at 16-1. Again, I just don't see it
I
happening.
don't. It's like he might be doing good at Sheffield Wednesday. That's fine.
Is it
But
Sheffield
we
Wednesday? No, no,
need.
no. Wait. It's not Sheffield Wednesday. I think it might be West Brom. I think he was at Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah.
Carlos Corberan. But basically, he's got a good start. I think it is West Brom, yeah, because they came like they finished in the playoffs last season, so we were tempted to get him. Thing is, you
I mean,
know,
I just looked at him. He's at Olympiacos at the moment.
Corberan. Are you sure? Are you sure, Baran?
I didn't know he coached Olympiacos.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I'm living in the past. Oh dear. Oh dear. What am I doing? Why am I on this podcast? Yeah, he's at West Brom at the moment. Oh, he was at Olympiacos before he went to West Brom. That's it. Why don't I think he was still at Olympiacos? He's a
Um,
good-looking manager, though. He's got the looks. I give him that. He's got the looks,
Fair play.
and that's one thing. And that's one thing that Enzo had. He had the looks. He looked.
Cooper definitely
Yeah.
didn't have it. Like Cooper was was easily Cooper definitely
What?
didn't have it compared to like any of the managers we've had.
I mean, what a fall that was from Enzo, the sexy Italian lamb. It was literally going from a Lamborghini to some shit Rover. It was literally going from that a Rover that's not even new. That's bad. That's barely past its MOT.
25
That's
year
what we went
old
from.
25-year-old, been driven up and down the country for more than its life. Yeah, probably needed to be scrapped 5 years ago. That's probably
That's it.
why do we keep shitting on a man who literally just lost his job today?
I know it is. When you look at this is the thing about football. If it was like, say, a mate of ours or something, and he said, "I've just lost my job," we'd be like, "Oh my god, I feel so bad for you, mate."
Yeah.
You'd feel terrible. Be like, "Look, if there's anything you need, just let me know," and all that lot. But when it's a football manager at a team that you support who gets sacked after they've done a bad job, you're like, "Yeah, fuck them." It's just so bad, isn't it?
They're not human. Yeah, exactly. You basically
Yeah.
you just kind of you separate the emotion from it all, and you just treat them like
Well, you have to,
you know,
though, don't you?
yeah. Well, how else? I mean, at the end of the day, like it's part of the job. It's what you come to expect with football management.
Yeah.
Is there's
And
a level of jeopardy to it all.
And also, and like anything in football management, once you're fired, it's not like you won't find a job again.
No,
He will probably be managing somewhere else pretty soon.
exactly. Yeah. Let's just list off the rest of them. We've got at 20-1, we've got three candidates. It's Lee Carsley, Liam Rosinia, and David Wagner. At 25-1, Estefan Cambiasso, and at 33-1 is Kajetil Knutson, who I don't know. But the the point I'm trying to make
I don't know that guy, so I won't talk about it.
yeah, I was about to say, Kajetil, fair play. Hope you do something at some point, maybe. But yeah, I don't know who you are. Sorry, it's a little bit late, so I don't want to look into that. But the main thing I feel like we can kind of boil down from those candidates is, it looks like the issue was the style of play and the lack of a game plan. I think that's the main thing with Cooper's results so far this season, or up to this point. It's like there's been too many games where we've had to be reactive, and
Yeah.
that's not a good sign. That's a sign of a manager who's not really doing their homework when
No.
you're getting absolutely dominated by teams from minute 1 to minute 35, 40 after you're already a goal down, and then you
Yeah.
react, and then do you know what I mean? It's almost like Leicester in a number of games this season had to go a goal down so that the leash could come off a little bit, and then
Yeah.
they actually showed their true potential. I mean, Southampton's a good result, a good example of that. But the result yesterday against Chelsea, it's like they got absolutely dominated for such a
Yeah.
long period of that first half, and that's going to happen against teams like Chelsea. But then they
Yeah.
showed in the second half, towards the very end of the first half, and also moments in the second half, you're like, there is a good team in here. And you're not
Yeah.
really showing the fight that I think you can. And
Not utilizing,
no,
it was playing certain players out of position. We constantly moaned at why is Ndidi being played so far up front. There was certain players played out of it, and it felt a bit Sunday League in a way, like where they'd only figure out how to play a team when they're playing the team.
yeah,
It just felt like that, and
yeah,
I know Steve Cooper might not have done that, but that's just how it felt. I mean, we take a case in point, first game of the season against Tottenham.
yeah.
That first half, we might as well not bother showing up.
I felt like that game kind of set the standard for the rest of the games
Yeah.
in his tenure. It's first half absolutely dreadful. It's like why are we even here? We're not competing whatsoever. And then
Exactly.
second half we all of a sudden turn it on, and it's like that's
Yeah.
so frustrating to see.
I know. we never saw. I can't name one game this season where from the get go we've been like, right, we're on it. I can't think of one. Where
Annoyingly, the Forest game. The Forest game was the only one.
the Forest game was, and then we fucked it on that
We
one.
fucked it because again we played into the hands. They played the counter attack, and we played
Yeah.
right into their hands and got caught on the break like 3 times. So
That's it.
again,
But
you have to
and
push it.
also the other one I could think of is maybe when we played Tranmere Rovers in the Carabao Cup.
You were moaning
That's
throughout
it,
that
so-
entire game. Like the first half, you were just like, "What is this? This is shit." First half, we should be winning 5-0
It's shit.
already.
To be fair, I had a point that whole game when we were watching it, and I was like, why are we playing so open? Why are we making stupid mistakes? Why are we so shit up front? And that's what was showing. And that was against Tranmere Rovers.
Yeah.
Whereas now, even the Forest game, we started off well, but even then, we weren't great. So that's why I'm thinking there was not one game where I could look back and even the games where Leicester won,
Yeah.
I couldn't look back on that game and go, smashed it that game.
No, we didn't. We've not smashed it.
There wasn't one.
No,
There wasn't one.
you can kind of point it to the quality jump when we got promoted to the Premier League, but I would argue that what's a really good example of a team that just got promoted but still has a lot of fight, and every result so far you're like, yeah, there's something there, and there's something that they have that can keep them up, a real spirit, but also like a game plan and a real fucking fight to them, is Ipswich. Like honestly, watching them against Manchester United today, I was almost like jealous of them, even though they're below us. I was jealous of them because I was like, these guys are showing such a fight against United, a fight that we've not shown so far this season against any of the big teams, but let alone even the big teams. It's like even like the your like Forest game, for example. It's like we didn't show it at all.
No.
And Ipswich are here, going toe to toe with United, who just steamrolled us 3-0. So
I know.
yeah,
And that was a Man United who had an interim manager, at the time, and then whereas now they've got. Man United now got Ruben, who's taken over, Ruben Amorim, but so there's going to be some teething issues going on there, so that we're going to use some excuses on that. But Ipswich put up a good fight,
yeah,
and it's just watching us play so far this season. We've messaged each other while watching it, literally been like, "This is actually difficult to watch. This is painful to watch," and it's just there's been so many times where I watched the Leicester game, like I just want to turn this off.
yeah.
I just really want to turn this off. I can't watch this anymore.
That Chelsea game yesterday was so bad. There were points during that game, and I know it's Chelsea. I know you're playing a big team who dominates, but like you're playing at home, guys. Please just
Yeah,
show a little bit more fight. And the amount of
that's it.
sloppy mistakes that we were making in every, you know, in just the build up, and we'd be giving away the ball to get
Yeah.
counterattacked over and over and over again. Then people getting frustrated and fouling all over the place. Which, to be fair, I didn't really mind because you know, we weren't doing anything else at that point. So I was like, yeah, well, I'll take a few
Might as well foul a few
yeah,
people
may as
away
well.
at it.
I'll take a few injuries. Why not? But I just think he showed from the last few results since the Forest game, I'd argue that yeah, maybe this isn't going to work out. And fair play,
Yeah.
you gave it a shot, but yeah, I guess act now before we end up in another situation like we did under Brendan, where we've like sleepwalked into a relegation.
But the thing is, at least with Brendan, there was something that we achieved to begin with.
Hmm.
At least when Brendan Rodgers took over, um, we achieved under Brendan Rodgers. We won the FA Cup. We played in Europe. You know, we did compete for a short period of time. It's just he did overstay his welcome. Like Brendan Rodgers has been known for after 3 years, he kind of runs his course.
Hmm.
And we did keep him a little bit longer than we needed to.
Yeah.
And that's why we did kind of, like you said, sleepwalk into a relegation. But at least with Brendan Rodgers, we did see something that we did. We kind of look back on Brendan Rodgers' time and think, well, there were some happy moments that we had. There were some moments where we did do good. This whole Steve Cooper era, if you could call it that, there's nothing to take from it positive. There's nothing positive to take from this.
It's the Southampton game is the only positive I can think of.
But even that, we weren't great in it.
No.
Even that, we went 2-0 down, and then we had to have some heroic fight against Southampton, who were bottom of the league at the time.
Yeah, who hadn't won a single point at that point of the season.
Yeah.
So, yeah. You know what? Let's see what happens. That's all I can say. But I think
Yeah, we'll see what happens
we'll
now.
obviously do like a video when the next manager is announced, and we'll give our proper thoughts and of who that might
Yeah.
end up being. But yeah, yes, Cooper's out.
Yeah, you never know. No, never know. It might happen tomorrow. Who knows?
Yeah.
But it's,
Oh man, if it is
but
tomorrow,
yeah,
it's so annoying. I have to like do this all over again. Another reaction.
God damn it!
Ah,
But,
more
I think
content.
what we can summarize from this is both of us. I think we can both conclude that we're both. I don't want to speak for yourself, but I think I can summarize that both of us are kind of like, yeah, we're kind of pleased that this has happened, but surprised that it's happened now. But we're kind of pleased that it has.
I'll be pleased when I know the end result. I'll be pleased when I know the end result. If we do end up in a situation where we have an interim manager all the way till Christmas, then I'm not going to be pleased. I'm going to be very angry.
That'd be horrible.
Yeah, I'm going to be very angry if we have that.
But then that means the finger has to be pointed at the board then, at the actual club itself.
Yeah, of course.
And and I think because of Vishay and Top, I think Leicester City fans, we do give our ownership a lot of leeway, and for good reason. You know, as far as owners go in football clubs, they are probably one of the, or maybe the best in terms of relationships with the fans. But I think we like I said, we do give them a lot of leeway and so on. But if they were to keep an interim manager, not that they ever would. Like I said, I've got enough faith in Top that he wouldn't do this.
Yeah.
But if they were to keep an interim manager all the way to the end of the season, then we would be like, what the hell are you doing?
I'm not saying end of the season. I'm talking about like Christmas. If we have an interim manager and it's Christmas, they've bottled it. Like they've absolutely fucked it.
Oh, we need a new manager the next week.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the next week we need to be announced who the next manager is.
Yeah, so at that point, then I'll let you know whether I'm pleased or not. It depends on who comes in and the expediency as to which, at which point they get appointed. At that point, I'll let you know if I think this has been a good idea. But up until then, I just, we've been known to do things without really having a plan, and that's my issue.
Yeah. Hopefully they've got a plan this time. I think back to when we won the league, and then when we got rid of Ranieri the following season, and we brought in Claude Puel, and it didn't really mount to anything.
No.
It's just that was getting rid of Ranieri because he was getting some bad results, but it wasn't terrible.
Shakespeare came in after Ranieri, and then Puel came in after Shakespeare, so it was a little bit between.
That's it. After Shakespeare, Puel came in, and then we kind of went into a bit of a lull after that and then we kind of. Yeah, we weren't really getting anything after that, and it was just a bit, that was a bad decision right back then. But it's but now and then with Rodgers, things changed a little bit.
Yeah, I'd argue though that with Puel, he he was responsible for a lot of the building blocks that Rodgers then took advantage of in terms of the squad building,
Yeah,
especially. A lot of pretty much all of the players that were part of Rodgers' squad that were really decent were all Puel's signings.
yeah.
So
But
I
he,
wouldn't say it was a
yeah,
complete
no, I wouldn't
bust or
poo-poo
anything.
on him completely, but
No.
he kept us stable as a club.
Yeah.
He kept us very stable. We were very balanced as a team. We weren't ever. There was never a point where we were like, oh, we're going to struggle this season. No, that was never going to happen under Puel. But we never really
Push.
pushed for anything.
No.
You know,
But
but we were
yeah.
we were very steady as a team back then. But maybe that's what we need. Maybe we need someone similar to Claude Puel to come in now and just keep us steady.
You never know. You never know what's going to happen. Again, my
Yeah.
my hope is with Potter. If we do end up getting Potter, I'll be pretty happy. But yeah, I guess we'll obviously we'll end up doing like the proper episode of this week at some point later this week, probably tomorrow, maybe in the next few days afterwards. But
A lot of interesting results over this weekend. A lot of big results.
a lot of big results.
That have again ruined my fantasy team, but a lot of big results.
Well, yeah, we'll definitely talk about it this week. But yeah, overall, Coop is gone. And
yep, Steve has flown the coop.
Steve has flown the coop. So we'll see what happens and keep posted. We'll be talking about it. And in the meantime, I've been Zane.
I've been Darren.
And what the fuck was that face?
Uh.
I'll see you later.
Bye.